What's that?
And that was without even a single drop of rum.
This, my friend, is a pipe. Why don't you just pull up a stool and have a drink with it? It comes in pints. I can get you one.
We've had a whole half already.
Good night and party on.
Party on, Wayne.
Party on, Garth.
It was almost flawless. All right. Here we are back for another edition of After Work Beers. And oh boy, am I ready for a beer? I got a story to tell before we get into our music news. A little bit of a personal story. Be earliest, be on time. Well, I started the stream 5 minutes early, and then at 3 o'clock, I have to give the countdown. Good things come to those who wait, but here I am. Let me get rid of that. We don't need my name up there when I'm by myself. I forget they move stuff around, and there it is. Okay. You guys know who I am. I am your host, John, the Creative Blue Collar Guy, and I was in a little bit of a fender bender yesterday. Not my fault. Car accident. No injuries, no nothing. Just front end of the car is a little crunched up, but because of that, we're gonna pour a little bit of whiskey first. Still got this bottle of the. Oh wow, the bottle really wants to be part of the green screen. That's interesting. The Chris Stapleton Buffalo Trace collab Traveler. I'm gonna pour just a little splash of that in addition to my beer because it's been a day. It's been a day. Yesterday after work, I went over. Was hanging out with my good friend Roman, who you all know from the Monday show. Yes, we do live in close enough proximity to each other to where I do actually have to put up with him in person, face to face. Once in a while. It's been a day. It's been a lot. I'm gonna break it all down. I'm gonna try to keep it somewhat brief because we want to get to the good stuff. We want to get to the music news, but yeah, it's been a day. I almost canceled the live stream to try to continue handling this stuff because I try to do some of it while I'm at work, but I'm trying to actually be productive while I'm at work too. Go figure. So I'm at Roman's. I'm coming home, and as I am coming up to make a right turn onto the street that I live on, so I'm almost home. I'm minutes away from finally getting out of my work clothes because I went to Roman's straight from work, hung out there for a little bit. And as I am putting on my blinker, safely and legally moving over into the right turn lane to turn onto my street, I see this big white truck just barreling towards me. Like I can already tell like they were going to try to get around me in the turn lane before I could. I obviously had the leg up, whatever. I'm not going to like look at that and go, oh, I'm just going to stop in the middle of the lane and wait for this impatient guy to get past me. So I put my blinker on, I move over, guy gets right up on my bumper, starts flashing his brights. Now, to anyone who's watching this, or even if some of you watch on the replay, I have to ask you the question: are you the type of person who, if you think the person in front of you is driving too slowly, are you going to drive as close to their rear bumper as you possibly can and flash your brights at them? And if you are that type of person, has it ever gone well for you? Does it ever make the person in front of you drive faster? So I took my time. I got up to the red light. Instead of doing the California roll where you just sort of make your right turn on the stoplight, I came to a full complete stop, looked to my left, looked to my right. Okay, I can safely turn. I turn and the guy follows me right out of the light. So he basically blows the red light without stopping, without looking. So then now we are on a very narrow 2-lane road that goes up a slight little, up a little hill. And then there's my apartment complex. Once again, he is right on my bumper as I'm slowly making my way up this little hill in a very narrow residential area now with cars parked on both sides. He decides to try and rip around me to the left, smashes into the left side of my car. But it gets better. He rakes his truck across the side of my car, realizes what he's done, and then guns it. So he tried to hit and run. This is the part of the story where I'll admit that now what I did was highly irresponsible, but I took about a half a second to think about what I could do in this situation and think, well, I can just take it, go home, call my insurance company in the morning. They'll probably still handle it. I'll just say it was a hit and run. The insurance company can handle it. Or I can chase the guy. I chased the guy. And we went all throughout the neighborhood. He was running through stop signs. He was dodging everything. He was trying to lose me for a good while. Finally stops. At this point, I'm like seeing red, like at an 11. And there were lots of expletives, lots of bad words being shouted from me. And, he's over here throwing every story at me. He's, oh, well, yeah, my wife's pregnant. I'm trying to get home. I'm like, no, like you hit me and then you ran. I had to chase you. You were going to hit and run. It's like, oh, well, you were going below the legal speed limit. So I had the right of way to go around you, which first of all, no, because the type of street we were on is not the type of street where you can cut around, whatever. But secondly, I'm like, okay, so all of a sudden now it's like you're going below the speed limit. And like we're in a residential area in a very narrow area here. Like, sorry, like that doesn't mean you get to just rip around me because you think I'm not going fast enough. Then he's looking at my car and go, you know what? Let me just pull the pictures up. Let's just really get into the story and have some fun with it. Then all of a sudden he turns to the like, oh, we can just totally buff that out. I'm like, nope, there's a pretty sizable dent in my side panel about the size of my fist, maybe a little bit bigger, that it's like, that's gonna have to get replaced. Maybe it was on Instagram. Anyways, whatever. I don't feel like trying to find the pictures and stuff. But anyways, yeah, I'm like, no, like that's more than just a buff out. Like there's a dent about that much, like smashed in. Then sort of that like plastic bit around the wheel well above my left front tire is all mashed up from either his tire rubbing on it or his truck hitting it, whatever. And then like up into the front panel, like my left front headlight is all scraped up. And then that front panel is like down a little bit. It's like drooping or like just a little bit below where it should be seated, right below that headlight, because he hit it and it is now like pulled down. So I'm like, no, like there's at least 2 panels that are going to need to be replaced. I just bought this car back in June. It wasn't brand new. I bought it pre-owned, but fine, whatever. It's new to me. And I'm just like, no, like I don't want this all filled up with Bondo and, polished and buffed out. It's like, these things are going to have to be replaced. And he's like, oh, I got guys that can do it for free. I'll just give you some money and we'll settle it. And I'm like, no. We're gonna exchange information. And I just kept saying, I was like, give me your insurance info. And he just kept, pushing back and forth. And he just would not give me his info. So finally he comes up and he gives me his registration and his driver's license. So I take a picture of that. And I'm like, that's not your insurance. He's like, oh, but what? You got my info. You got my license plate. You got, and I'm like, all right, fine, whatever. So I take the pictures. I go home. I look at them and I'm like, J&E Multi-Services Incorporated. So the truck is registered to a company. I called the company today. The owner seemed very unbothered. He heard his guy's side of the story. Of course, he lied about half of it. I told him, I was like, oh, well, he tried to hit and run, tried to flee the scene. Guy didn't seem bothered in the slightest about that part. I told him there's a good chance I'm probably going to file a police report. Again, didn't really seem to bother him. And he was just like, yeah, if the damage is below 500, the insurance probably won't handle it. So let's see if we can just find a shop and just handle this. And I was like, no, I'm going through my insurance. So it's been a day of getting the runarounds. Yeah, it's been a lot. Anyways, fun story time with John. Hey, Jacob Ironside. Good to see you, brother. I did get his plate, got his registration, got his driver's license, got his address. The thing that bothers me now is whatever I do going through my insurance, possibly filing a police report and stuff, is that because I was trying to do the right thing, I pulled out my insurance info. He snapped a photo of it. So now he has my current address. That worries me. And Jacob, yes, absolutely, 100%. I don't think he was undocumented. But yes, to answer your question, the answer is yes. That's really strange. Because the channels now that I've set, when I've set the notifications, the channels that I want to catch live, it's like it tells me 30 minutes before and it tells me when they go live. So that's I might be shadow banned, guys. I've been wondering that for a while. I think I might be shadow banned, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so we do a lot of voice memos back and forth because it's easier than typing. I'm busy doing stuff. I can talk at him and whatever, and I just But between that and then making phone calls and stuff, and then just wanting to kill myself at work, it's been a day. It's been a day. I don't think he didn't have an accent or anything. He was young. He was stupid. But yeah, his whole thing is like, oh, I got guys that'll do this for free, or I'll just give you some money. And I'm just like, no, bro, I'm not going to have your buddies work on my car when I already had to chase you down. And now you're like refusing to give me your info. Like, no, thank you. I have AAA. My insurance will cover it. No problem. Last time I had an issue, I got rear-ended. I don't know, like a year or two ago. I went to a place right by my work. The guy quoted me like $400 to fix it. And I called my insurance. I sent them pictures and the info and stuff, and was like, hey, this person hit me. I was like, here's their insurance info. Here's my insurance info. And he's like, yeah. I was like, do you want to get it checked out? We can send you some approved shops. And I said, well, I already got a quote, $400. They're like, cool, fine. Send us all the pictures and stuff. And they like immediately transferred the money into my account that same day. So I'm confident my insurance will cover it no matter what. It's just, it's been a big headache. And I might still file the police report because he did try and hit and run. I had to chase him. So that's been a super fun 24 hours. Let's talk about music. Woo! All right. And yeah, I know I pulled your comment up, but hello to you, Devin. I know you're still working. Thanks for being here, buddy. So we got Devin, Steph, and Jacob. Good to see all of you. Man, I really need to find another ad blocker or something for my browser. I had one, and almost every article I would try to pull up for live streams, it'd be like, you can't use this with ad blocker. But then I got all this crap all over my screen. It's a very low budget channel, folks. I appreciate you hanging in there with me, but I still have no idea what I'm doing, if you can't tell. But Linkin Park, this came out last Friday. Yeah, so I would have talked about it on a Wednesday if it was. So it came out, the album was released last Friday. Linkin Park released an acapella version of their latest album, From Zero, with Emily Armstrong. Before I even read any farther, I mean, really, like, I don't even feel like I really need to dive into this article. This has got to be one of the dumbest things I've ever heard of a band doing. Like I'm speechless. I am without speech as to like what to even think of this. Like why would a band even do this? Because again, I don't care what band it is. I don't care who it is. You as a band, you make an album. You spend all the time on recording the drums and the guitars, and in their case, all their different, keyboards and synthesizers and samples and background stuff and all the ambient stuff they put in there. But then you go, we've got a good idea. How about 4 or 5 months after we release the album, let's go back into the studio, remove all of the music, and just release the isolated vocal tracks? Because that's really something that you're going to sit in your car and be like, oh yeah, all right, I want to listen to this album with literally no music and just the isolated vocal tracks with long pauses in between vocals because there are instrumental interludes that have now been cut out. Who the hell is listening to this? People will probably give it a listen through one time, just kind of, okay, curiosity. I wonder. No one is buying this. No one is going to buy this on vinyl and put it on their record player and listen to it. No one's going to be on a long road trip going, you know what? I really want to listen to that acapella version of that new Linkin Park album. This to me is just one more thing that's like, they're trying so hard to be like, look how great Emily is. Look at what a great vocal talent, what a great powerhouse she is, when they left in all the studio magic and all the auto-tune. I can tell you that much. I honestly even speculate that I did give the album a listen through, not the acapella one. I tried. I couldn't do it. But their album From Zero, when it came out in November, I listened through it once, and once was enough. There was nothing memorable. There was nothing at the end of it where I was like, oh, I want to go back and hear that song again or that one hook again. And here's a big thing for me. I feel that if an album, I feel like in a lot of ways, an album needs to play out kind of like a movie. It needs, a beginning, middle, and end. It's got peaks and valleys, ups and downs. If an album does not have a memorable ending, like if I listen to an album 5, 6, 7 times, and as I'm listening to the album, if I'm thinking ahead going, what's the last track on this album? Like how does this thing end? How does, like, if you can't remember how it ends after listening through it a handful of times, because a lot of times some of my most favorite albums, as I'm listening through and you're getting through it, and like, okay, after this song then this one, and then kind of the sequence of events there, and you're just thinking like, oh man, like we're almost to the end, and you're like looking forward to that big crescendo, the big finale song at the end of the album. If you can't remember how the album ends as you're listening to it, then in my opinion, it's not a great album. It's not memorable. This ended very abruptly. When I read reviews about it beforehand, they were like, oh, and the last song is this big epic ballad and whatever. And like, I was at work and like, okay, I kind of got my earbuds in and I'm listening, but like it ended and it was just like over. And I was like, where was the big epic ballad? Like nothing made me like stop what I was doing and go, wow, this is really great. But now they've seen fit to make the acapella version because, again, they're trying to virtue signal and be like, look, all the people that hate Emily, look how great she is. And it's like, yeah, that's a lot of auto-tune. You have actually edited her vocals to make them more kind of a little more gritty and a little more raspy to try and emulate Chester, which they keep saying, oh, she's not trying to be Chester. She's not trying to replace Chester. But they edited her vocal tracks on the album to sound more like Chester, even the way she kind of enunciated certain words. But then you watch the live videos and she sounds completely different. It's all studio magic. It's all flash and mirrors. I was riding along with my mom one time and this guy pulls in front of us. We barely tapped the guy. He says, oh, it'll buff out and leaves. Year later, he sues us for damages. Our insurance pays him. Come to find out, he had 3 other car accident cases that day. Yeah, I've learned 2 very important lessons when it comes to stuff like this, because with the exception of one time when I was a teenager, every accident that I've been in has not been my fault. But I have learned the hard way sometimes, always take photos. And even if the other person refuses to give you their info, take photos of your vehicle, take photos of their vehicle. At the very least, get a photo of their license plate. If they tell you to screw off and they don't give you their info and they leave, whatever, license plate might be good enough that an insurance company can dig it up. But then always just go to your insurance company, report it, do the thing. And usually it'll be okay. But then like that, yeah, when they just say, oh, it'll be fine, let's not involve insurance, it's like, well, then they can turn around and it can be their word against yours and it just gets messy. And it's just best to always handle it. So I'm not even done handling it yet. Like I said, I considered canceling the live stream to continue handling the situation, but I think I'll still be able to get a hold of AAA today. Linkin Park to release acapella vocals only version of the band's latest album From Zero, dubbed From Zero Acapellas, on Friday, January 24th. The original version of From Zero came out in November. It was their first full-length effort since 2017's One More Light, which was the last Linkin Park album before the tragic death of lead singer Chester Bennington. From Zero features Linkin Park's new singer Emily Armstrong and drummer Colin Brittain, who have joined returning members. Okay, this is blah, 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 whatever. All right. There isn't really much else to say about this other than that I tried to listen to it and I got through 1.5 songs. I didn't really count the intro because there's like an intro whatever track. Then their first single they released, The Emptiness Machine, and then whatever the song was after that, I cut it off halfway through that song and was like, all right, that's enough. It's literally they just pulled the music and gave you the isolated vocal tracks, but with all the studio magic on it. Oh, that man, that's a bummer. That sucks. Um, Actually, okay, I'll say as far as like car accidents, like when I say like, oh, there's only one that was ever my fault when I was a teenager. There was one time where I did kind of get taken to the cleaners, and this still was stupid, but I tried to do the right thing. I was leaving a friend's house who lived at the end of like a dead end, like a cul-de-sac, and the way I was parallel parked was sort of on that round circular area coming out, and I'm backing out of my spot. It was late. It was like 9 or 10 o'clock at night, and when you're like backing up, so your car is in reverse, your foot is still on the brake, but it's like you just release the brake, the car starts moving a little bit. So I was like barely creeping, trying to get enough space to pull out of the spot. Barely tapped the car behind me. I get out, I look, I leave a note. One of the neighbors sees me, and I'm like, don't worry, I left my info. Lady calls me. I give her my info. She gives me, we do the thing. We exchange info stuff, but I did not take pictures. That was the stupid part. When I got the photographs from her insurance company, so again, keep in mind, I was backing up and barely tapped the very front bumper of her car. When I got the pictures back from her insurance company, it was pictures of the side view mirror, side panels, other stuff that like my car didn't go anywhere near. So this lady had a bunch of other pre-existing damage on her car, but because now I hit her car and left a note with my info and stuff, she took me to the cleaners and told her insurance company that I caused all that damage. And it was over $1,200, so it put a mark on my insurance for a couple of years. And yeah, always take pictures. And but that still sucks, Jacob, that he was still able to do that. All right. So that is pretty much all I have to say about the Linkin Park story. Just I don't know why they would even bother doing this, other than the fact that I've been listening to an awful lot of live streams at work lately particularly about Captain America: Brave New World, and even before all the dumb stuff that came up yesterday about Anthony Mackie's stupid comments, but about movies that show too much in the trailers, or all this stuff gets leaked, but it may or may not have allegedly been leaked by the film studio themselves because they realize that they've got a turd that they're getting ready to release, and they know that there's no hype around the movie. So they're like, oh, well, maybe if we leak some spoilers, we'll get people talking about the movie and we'll get it out there. But when somebody knows that they have something good, they keep it secret and they keep it under wraps and they don't let anything out. So I feel like this Linkin Park thing of them releasing the acapella version of their album with the new singer that has already been very divisive for a lot of different reasons is just one more way of them being like, look how great she is. Look how awesome Emily is. And people are still just like, no, I'm good. And here's the funny thing about this. I watched the live stream where they announced, hey, this is our friend Emily. And they didn't say, hey, this is our new singer. This is our new person replacing Chester. But obviously now we've all seen that is what happened. I watched the whole live stream. They announced some tour dates. They went out and did some shows. I watched some videos from that. I listened to the songs and the singles as they came out. I listened to the album as it came out. And I'm just like, I don't think it's good. I don't think she is a good fit for the band. She has her own other band, and I'm blanking on the name of her band at the moment, but whatever. Her vocal style is more suited for her other band. I would say that she has kind of more of a grungy Courtney Love style of vocals, which I absolutely cannot stand Courtney Love, but to each their own, whatever. Her other band is more kind of that style. I think that was my takeaway from that. And it works with the other band. In this case, even if we're removing the idea of, oh, she's not replacing Chester, fine. You don't want someone that sounds exactly like Chester. I still don't think she is a good fit for the band. But oh boy, if you said anything bad about her here on YouTube, on Twitter, on anything, man, people would just attack. Like people would get so mad when you were just like very objectively saying, I just don't think she's a good fit. Like, I'm not attacking her as a person. I'm not being like, oh, she's the worst thing. Oh, this is terrible. I'm just like, it's objectively not good. She's not a good fit. And people just couldn't handle that. Apparently people just, spoiler alert, people on the internet can't handle when someone has a different opinion about something. Weird, right? So there's that. Linkin Park releases an acapella version of an album that nobody wanted. What do you guys think about that? You're all being awful quiet in the chat. We have a few people watching over on Twitter as well. I'm sorry, X. Don't be shy. Feel free to let me know you're in the chat. Throw your stuff out there, even if it's you're stupid. We hate your opinion on this whole thing. Like, oh no, don't be shy. Jump on in. Let me know you're there. Or if you are liking what you're hearing, hop on over here to YouTube. Hit that thumbs up button. Unless you're Lady Marine and you're going to downvote and unsubscribe like you do every week. Would expect nothing less. Yeah, if you are new, please hit that subscribe button and ring that bell for notifications so that hopefully you'll get notified when I go live, even though apparently Devin is not. Just interesting. Let's talk about something fun. This is kind of cool. So one of my favorite bands in the whole wide world that I have been lucky enough to see many times over, Tool. Tool plays a surprise club performance in honor of Justin Chancellor. So Tool bassist Justin Chancellor was honored with a Bass Magazine Lifetime Achievement Award. So there they are playing on an incredibly small stage. If you guys know anything about Tool or their live shows or their concerts or anything, you know they play arenas. They play they play arenas and stadiums. They have big giant stages. They've got video screens up everywhere. They've got lights. It is a spectacle to behold. And usually frontman Maynard James Keenan here is back in the corner, kind of in the shadows. Danny Carey is usually kind of off to the right here behind Justin with his own platform where the drum set's lit from beneath because all of his drum shells are made out of melted down brass drum cymbals. So they reflect all the light that is projected onto them. And so they played this very, very small club, which I have been to, for Justin Chancellor here to receive a Lifetime Achievement Award. Same, but for one thing, I need content for my channel. For another thing, sometimes I'm curious, and we all know what curiosity does, but sometimes I just need stuff to talk about here to hopefully bring people in and get people to, interact in the chat. But yeah. So let's go on here. Tool played a surprise 2-song set on January 23rd. So for Tool to play 2 songs, that was still probably about an hour-long set. At the Bass Magazine Awards in Santa Ana, California, where God-tier bassist Justin Chancellor received a well-deserved Lifetime Achievement Award for his, quote, bass wizardry and alchemy in Tool, as the band put it themselves. The performance took place at Santa Ana's The Observatory venue, where I saw the reincarnation of Static X there back in 2019 for the 20th anniversary of Wisconsin Death Trip with their new mystery singer, which we all know is Edsel Dope because the band Dope tours with them every time. But they keep it secret to respect the legacy of the late Wayne Static, who unfortunately passed away. I always thought Linkin Park was more a one-album hit wonder type of thing. Yeah, I liked their first 2 albums, Hybrid Theory and Meteora. They kind of lost me after that a little bit, but there's no denying. I mean, Chester Bennington was a force to be reckoned with. I mean, he was a talent all in of himself, even if the way that the band evolved wasn't quite my cup of tea. Yeah, losing Chester was a huge loss, but I just, and I get it. The rest of the guys in the band, like, that's still their band, and those are still their songs, and they have every right to move forward, but they could have chosen a better replacement. Oh boy. Yeah. So they played at the Santa Ana Observatory. Like I said, I have been there. It is a very small venue. It was a really cool venue. It was really cool. Actually, for whatever reason, it strangely reminded me of the what's it called? The Gasworks venue in Wayne's World, where they go see Crucial Taunt for the first time, but even smaller than that, because I feel like in the movie it was depicted as being a bit of a larger venue. But yeah, I cannot even begin to imagine seeing Tool on that little stage, but it had to be quite the thing. They only played 2 songs. Um, and the rare up close and intimate club gig had Tool first taking on their Lateralis classic Schism, which according to a poll of Revolver readers features the greatest metal bass line of all time. Now, I don't know. Don't get me wrong. I love Tool and everything, but when you label one thing as the greatest of all time, like that's tough. I mean, that's a tall order to be like, this is absolutely. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's up there, but I don't know if I could be that bold. And they played that before driving the point home with a run through of the 10,000 Days track Jambi or Jambi. I never quite know how to pronounce that one. Saw Tool for the first time years and years ago when they were still basically a bar club band before they hit it big, and that is awesome. I know, me being in Southern California, I've talked to a few people that saw them at that level, because when they started out, they were all living in LA and based out of Los Angeles, and they would routinely come down here and play very, very small venues with the likes of, Korn and Deftones and other bands that, maybe they weren't all necessarily the same style of music, but they're all kind of coming up around the same time. And I mean, seeing Tool at the level they are now is awesome, but it's like that those are the stories where it's like, oh man, like, saw them at a small club when they're still figuring it out. That's awesome, Matt. While celebrating Justin Chancellor's bass playing doesn't seem that out of the norm, getting the chance to see Tool playing in a smaller room like the 1,200 capacity, 1,200 capacity observatory made the night even more incredible. You can see photos of the event. So there he is with his award, which he's actually British, if you don't know. I mean, it's rare that you see these guys do interviews and stuff, but yeah, he's not like he's from London. He was originally from the band Failure or Peach, one of those. But this is, again, like, this is very uncharacteristic for Maynard to be up in the front now. Like, Maynard hasn't been up at the front of the stage since their like mid-90s Anima tours. Now he lurks back in the shadows. Or it could be, or a like a tribute band or a cover band. There actually is a Tool / a Perfect Circle tribute band here in Southern California called A Perfect Tool. The one and only time I've seen them perform, they only played Tool songs, but I'll admit, for a cover band, they were good. Even the singer, the drummer, the guitarist, the bassist, everything, all 4 of them freaking nailed it, man. Like, there's certain cover bands where it's like, okay, you can go be like an AC/DC tribute band or, whatever, and kind of do, but like really complicated stuff like Tool, and I'm just like, man, that is a tall order to be a Tool cover band. And I gotta admit, I was impressed. They were really good. They were really, really good. Yeah, that's wild to see them on such a small stage. They probably haven't played on a stage that small since like the early 90s. Like Matt's talking about seeing them at a small bar or club. Best cover band I've ever heard for any band is the Iron Maidens. Yeah, I saw them once at they're in Southern California. There is, well, I guess they do them. I guess they do an East Coast version too, but the NAMM convention, the North American Music Merchants convention, where it's a big trade show for any company that has anything to do with music, guitar manufacturers, drum manufacturers, live sound, any company or any product that has anything to do with the music industry. That's their annual trade show, and I think they do NAMM West and NAMM East. And when I had previously worked at various different instrument manufacturers, if you are an employee of one of these companies, you usually get a pass and a guest pass to go. So you basically get to go and take a friend each year and go enjoy the trade show at your leisure. And yeah, I was going through, I saw Coheed and Cambria. Well, the singer and other lead guitarist of Coheed and Cambria, Claudio Sanchez and Travis Stever, did an acoustic set at the Taylor Guitars booth, which is the company I worked for at the time. And then as I was coming out of the Taylor booth, we walked over, and I think it was the either Jackson Guitars booth or the Marshall Amps booth. The Iron Maidens were playing right next to them. So yeah, like as we were coming out of the Taylor thing, we saw them. That was pretty rad. Again, like really, really small rooms because they're only playing a couple songs. It's basically just a convention. But yeah, this had to be pretty cool. And it says like surprise set. So I mean, they obviously put on some sort of something that they were honoring Justin Chancellor with this Lifetime Achievement Award. But I'm guessing it was a surprise that they performed. Like people didn't know that they were actually going to come up and play any songs. So yeah, that is pretty cool. Let's see. It talked about this one couple weeks or months ago. Or do not tell me I have to read the full story. Got it. No, Billboard. I do not want to subscribe to you to read this article. Hold on a second. I gotta do a quick Google search because, well, you know, I'm ill prepared apparently. Limp Bizkit lawsuit. So Limp Bizkit has been attempting to sue their record label for, quote, unpaid wages, to which the record label was pushing back and saying that so basically the way a record label works, when you get signed to, let's say, a major label like Universal, Warner, EMI, what have you, the label at that moment essentially acts as a bank. They front a bunch of money. You go into the studio, you record the album. They pay for the studio time. They pay for the album artwork, the pressing, the distribution, the advertising, the tour. When you get the tour bus and the big semi trucks that have to haul all the gear, the stage, the screens, the lights, the sound, the crew, everything. So the label fronts all of that money, and you are essentially working to pay back that loan, more or less. And all these years later, Limp Bizkit is now coming back trying to say that they were not paid their due royalties. Universal Music came back and said that Universal Music never recouped the costs of the money that they fronted them. Here we go. I think we'll be able to read this one. Freaking Billboard magazine wants me to pay money to subscribe to their website. Get out of here. All right. God, I need to find an ad blocker that works. This is really annoying. Limp Bizkit is in Still no. 30 years later, still no. Oh, man. Limp Bizkit's $200 million lawsuit against UMG faces new hurdles. A judge has ruled that Limp Bizkit cannot void their contract with UMG months after the group sued over claims of unpaid royalties. And I'll admit, too, I'm just going to throw this in here. I know it's kind of unrelated, whatever, but I just saw Limp Bizkit live back in August. It was the same night of my 20-year high school reunion, to which I was like, I'm good. I stay in contact with a few close friends from high school, but it's like, if there's somebody I want to see, if there's someone I want to talk to, I could pick up my phone and call them right now, or text them, or whatever. Like, I don't need to go to a reunion every 10 years. Be like, hey, I haven't seen you in 10 years. What have you been up to? All right, cool. See you in another 10. Like, whatever. So I skipped the reunion and decided to drive an hour and a half up to San Bernardino. Excuse me. I barely muted my microphone on time for that sneeze. Drove up to San Bernardino to the venue that used to host Ozfest here in Southern California every year, and saw Limp Bizkit. On this particular tour, Corey Feldman was also opening, but because I had absolutely zero interest in seeing any of the acts between Corey Feldman and Limp Bizkit, I didn't want to be trapped inside the venue for like 10 hours. So it tailgated outside for a long time. Didn't get any yucks or laughs at seeing Corey Feldman, but I'm at absolutely no shame. Had a blast at the Limp Bizkit concert. I probably had way more fun at the Limp Bizkit concert than I would have had at a high school reunion. And to kick it off, to cap off the night, anybody in the chat, tell me, have you ever seen a band live in concert who played the same song 2 times in like an hour and a half long set? These guys opened and closed the show with break stuff. And man, I got to tell you, for as cheesy as it sounds, just as cheesy as the whole experience sounds, at the end, they're getting to the end of the night, and Fred Durst says, well, you know what they say, 2 is better than 1. And then Wes Borland kicks into that opening riff for break stuff for yet the second time of the night. The crowd was just as amped to hear it the second time. And it's just like, they're one of those bands that they got so much hate and they got so much flack, and they were seen as such a joke in the 90s that I think now it's like they've grown, they've aged, they've matured, and they probably kind of laugh at themselves a little bit. I think they kind of look at like their heyday of the late 90s and early 2000s with a little bit of a wink and be like, hey, you know what? Like, people are still willing to pay money to come see us live. Screw it. Let's just do it and go out and have a laugh and have a good time. And I had a blast. I seriously had so much fun, and I'm not even ashamed to admit that. Probably going to see Disturbed, Daughtry, Shinedown, Killswitch Engage, Stained, Breaking Benjamin, all by mid-May. Still have yet to see Tool. Oh man, yeah, I have seen Tool many times over, and every time they tour, I mean, they bring it. They bring the latest and greatest technology. So their shows, every tour cycle is different because they get the latest technology of lighting, the latest technology of projection screens, video screens. It's expensive. Tool shows are expensive, but it is so worth it to see them at least once in your lifetime. Let's see. I saw Disturbed once on like a festival tour. I saw Killswitch Engage at Warped Tour once. I've seen Stained a couple times. I just saw Stained with Godsmack not too long ago, a little over a year and a half ago. Passed on seeing Limp Bizkit. According to that ruling, just from what was said, Limp Bizkit is not sued over not being paid money they are owed, but rather suing because they're trying to weasel out of their. Yeah, and we'll get into it a little bit more. I think the initial articles that came out a couple months ago were saying that they're trying to claim unpaid royalties, but then here, even in the headline, it's saying it's like they're trying to avoid their contracts. So it's a little bit of both. A little from column A, a little from column B. Hey, my bizarro dad is here. What's up, Roman? Are you still drunk? You missed my whole car accident story about what happened when I left your house yesterday. That was fun. Wasn't my fault. Say no to the Corey. Yeah, but I still think it would have been funny to actually see him because I've been seeing all the videos and the memes and the reels. Like, it would have been funny to actually see him, but he was like the first act, and then there were like 3 or 4 other bands, and I'm like, I'm not going to be stuck inside a venue where I got to pay $20 a pop for crappy beer that whole time. So tailgated until it was time to go in. Was it for more records? Is it for more records, Roman? We need to have an intervention. We really have a problem. You need to stop buying records. I'm sorry. Has buying records replaced your action figure buying obsession? They're going with the jokes now. They're just having fun. They're fun to watch live, but very few of their songs impressed me. Yeah, but here's the thing, too, is they have actually continued to release new music in recent years. They have new albums out, but they stuck to pretty much the first 3 before Wes Borland left the band the first time. So it's $3 Bill Y'all, Significant Other, and the Hot Dog Flavored Water. And then Wes Borland quit the first time after their 3rd album. They only played songs from the first 3. So they understood the mission. They're just a party band. It's like, yeah, they're a joke, but it was funny. Yeah, Godsmack was fun. He does talk a lot in between songs, though. And I saw Godsmack. It was I forget who the first opening band was, but then it was Stained and then Godsmack. I didn't realize they both kind of came up in the Massachusetts area together. So he was talking about that like they've been friends since they were coming up in the clubs, and it was sort of like if Godsmack was kind of the headliner for the night, they'd call Stained and be like, hey, come open for us, and then vice versa. If Stained was kind of the headliner, they'd call and hey, come open for us. That's and they're saying they're like ego gets you nowhere. They're like, treat your friends well. You'll come up together at the same time, and they succeeded at the same time. But yeah, by the time Godsmack took the stage, I think they played one or two songs and then slowly got up there and talked for a really, really long time. Then they finally played another song, and it's like, bro, I remember when I was, a bit younger, I feel like headliners always used to play for a solid 2 hours. Like headliners would go on right at 9. They would play all the way up until 11 o'clock and then kick everybody out because legal curfews. I don't know if that's a thing in other states, but in California, legal curfew is anywhere between 10 to 11 p.m., depending on if it's a weeknight or a weekend. And if the concert is all ages, they kind of have to abide by that, so that if somebody gets pulled over on the way home, they can be like, oh, I'm on my way home from a concert, but at least the concert can say, oh no, like we told everyone to leave at the curfew. Now I feel like headliners are down to where like they play for like an hour and a half, an hour and 15, maybe an hour. Like we're not getting as long of the sets out of the headliners anymore. And part of it too is because a lot of the bands that I'm going to see are bands that I've been seeing since I was younger, so they're getting older and they probably want to go to bed. But he talks a lot. Went to Ozfest in 2003. I think there was over 40 bands there. So yeah, I've done a few. I've done like the Rockstar Energy Festival. I've done a couple Warped Tours. Festivals are just, they're exhausting. Because again, you look at the lineup and you're trying to figure out, okay, this band's playing on this stage. This one's over here. You're out in the sun all day long. A bottle of water costs $10. That's a lot. Yeah, and I always said that. I've always defended Westmoreland over the years, even when people were like, Fred Durst is such a joke. The band sucks, whatever. And I'm like, yeah. But Westmoreland is a very, very talented musician and artist in many different ways. I wholeheartedly agree. I always felt that way about Limp Bizkit and Creed. The two bands that got a lot of flack for a lot of different reasons in the late 90s and early 2000s was like Westmoreland and Mark Tremonti from Creed are both very talented, but sometimes that is the sad truth of the front man of the band can make or break the band, because that is the voice of the band that you hear, and they are the front man that if they're a douchebag or if you just don't like their voice, they can ruin it for everybody. He's long-winded backstage too, but he's nice. Well, that's good to know. It's always good to know when the people are actually nice, because I've met both. I've met musicians and people in bands that I really looked up to that were jerks, and other people that were just very normal, down to earth, awesome people. So it's good to know that about Sully. No problems with Creed. Their music is just for a specific audience. Yeah, at this point, I think it's divorced dad rock. But I still do kind of want to go see them when they come here in August. All right, so let's dive more into this Limp Bizkit lawsuit. Limp Bizkit's lawsuit against Universal Music Group now faces hurdles as a federal judge has denied the band's demand to void its contract with its company months after the group first sued over allegations of hundreds of millions of dollars in unpaid royalties. So I wonder if there's more than one lawsuit at hand here. In a decision filed on Friday, January 17th, the court pointed to millions of royalties and advances. So again, they're like a bank. They're giving you a loan. You got to pay it back by touring. Advances that UMG had paid the group, ruling that the band had failed to present a viable rescission claim, saying, quote, the court therefore concludes that plaintiffs have not plausibly alleged the type of substantial or total failure in the performance of the contracts that could support rescission of the parties' agreements. Judge, my foot just caught my chair, made me sink down there for a minute. I'm just, woo! In the performance of the contracts that could support rescission of the parties' agreements, Judge Percy Anderson wrote in a ruling filed on Friday, the band's copyright infringement and declaratory relief, wow, words are hard, claims hinged on the rescission claim. Anderson wrote in his decision, so those have been dismissed as well. 12 other claims the band included, such as breach of contract and fraudulent concealment, weren't addressed in the decision. Limp Bizkit and Fred Durst sued UMG, the world's largest record company, back in October in one of the most notable lawsuits of the year in the music industry, along with alleging that UMG withheld as much as $200 million in royalties. In an equally notable allegation, the band claimed that the company had, quote, designed and implemented royalty software and systems that were deliberately designed to conceal artists' royalties and keep those profits for itself. The court ruled on 3 of our claims against Universal and gave us the opportunity to amend our complaint further in order to keep litigating in federal court, the Limp Bizkit's attorney said in a statement. The facts speak for themselves. Universal will be held accountable for its actions and will not get away with its conduct at the expense of its artists. Limp Bizkit now have until February 3rd to file an amendment complaint based on the judge's ruling. If the group's new amended complaint doesn't include a copyright infringement claim, the court will, quote, decline to exercise supplemental jurisdiction over the suit and will dismiss it, requiring the band to file the suit in a different court system. So there's that. All right. It's not looking good for old Freddie. What else do we got here? AI is always a hot topic. I could get into this, but I kind of want to. I don't know if I want to end on like a bummer. Maybe let's hit this one real quick, just because I think those of us that are all here in the chat are old enough to remember when MTV actually played music, and that would mean that many of you are probably familiar with the name Matt Pinfield. Oh boy. So this just came out yesterday, I guess. I only just started seeing it today, but this article is dated January 28th. Iconic MTV host Matt Pinfield suffered a stroke that has left him, quote, incompetent. So there he is. I want to say, I could totally be making this up, but I want to say I read something about him being sober now. So it's like, kind of seems like he's been making efforts to kind of, not do bad things to his body. But iconic MTV host Matt Pinfield recently suffered a massive stroke that left him incompetent, according to his daughter. His daughter Jessica filed a temporary conservatorship, words are hard, over her father after the medical event happened on January 6th. Oh, so this happened a couple weeks ago, because she is worried his girlfriend will take funds from his bank account. Oh, no. Oh, those are the worst kinds of people. Oh man, I'm like immediately angry just by reading that one little block of text. Oh no. In the legal filing, she claimed he is incompetent to make health and financial decisions. She hopes to oversee his money and apartment because she and her sister are concerned about his girlfriend having access to his accounts. The 63-year-old was best known for hosting MTV's influential alt-rock show 120 Minutes from 95 to 99, and again on MTV2's Revival from 2011 to 2013. Having vast musical knowledge, he went on to become vice president of A&R and artist development for Columbia Records before going back to his roots and hosting radio shows. Pinfield shared an Instagram post on the same day he suffered the stroke, starting another week with gratitude for a life surrounded by great people, life-changing music, and unforgettable experiences that I never take for granted. He wrote alongside a photo of himself being filmed. Here's to another week, another day, open heart, open mind, let's rock. So there he is. Wow. Oh man, that sucks. That sucks. The thing about the girlfriend though, like, I mean, obviously the stroke and the whatever, I mean, that's terrible. But then it's like, you got somebody in your life that now all of a sudden your family is like, oh, we need to make sure she doesn't take all his shit. Like, that's so awful. I hate stories like that. Oh man. 63 years old. It sucks. Yeah, not Matt. Feel bad for him. He's like a decent guy. Yeah. Always some greedy relative or some greedy someone. I mean, when my grandpa on my mom's side of the family passed, I was only about 2 years old. He was only in his mid-50s. It was a very unexpected thing. He and my grandma had divorced. My grandfather had remarried, and the woman that he was married to at the time of his death was basically the living embodiment of a succubus. My grandfather had his own sheet metal business in Orange County, California. And he didn't have a lot to his name, but I mean, he had stuff, he had a business, he had, whatever. And I think he had like a will or a living trust or something. He had something all set up and everything, and it just was missing like one signature from like a notary or something. There, like everything was all drawn up, and it was literally missing one signature. And he had a very unexpected medical thing and passed at a young age. And my mom and my aunt got nothing because it was like, well, this document was not officially completed. It goes to the wife, the whatever, and it just like, All right, let's talk AI for a few minutes. I got a couple minutes here left to kill because this is an ongoing issue in a lot of the creative worlds, and I get it. I understand how AI can be a useful tool, but I am also one who is like, how could that be used for bad? And it's more likely going to be used for bad than for good. Just my hot take. But here, Paul McCartney and Elton John. Oh boy. I swear this is my first beer today. Oh boy. Paul McCartney and Elton John are among two of the bigger names right now that are pushing against another big issue of AI and copyright and whatever, specifically in the UK, where their homeland. It sounds like you're from London. Maybe not. I feel like with AI, you could actually come up with AI that would always like the stream and always make sure to subscribe and ring the bell for notifications each week. But because she downvotes and unsubs, she's probably a real person. I would downvote and unsub to me. So in the statement here, right there in the headline saying, "We're the people, you're the government, you're supposed to protect us. That's your job." McCartney and Elton take aim at proposed changes to copyright. Proposals would allow AI firms to scalp all existing content for free. Two of the most respected figures in the music industry have spoken out about the dangers posed to musicians and indeed all creative people by possible changes to the copyright law that the UK government is considering that will allow AI firms to use existing content for free. Paul McCartney appeared on BBC One's Laura Kuenssberg show on Sunday morning, warning that the proposals, which as yet are still at a consultative stage, man, they're really challenging my reading abilities today. The blah 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 blah. Where were we?
And you know what the worst part of all is? I never learned to read.
The default would be that AI developers would have free reign over all existing music and content on the internet unless artists purposely opted out. Where did the comment just go? A bunch of stuff just came through really quick. Nope, hold on. There we go. Boom. That is just what an AI would say. That is what an AI would say. McCartney told the host he believed this would lead to a loss of creativity, he explained. You get young guys, girls coming up, they write a beautiful song, and they don't own it, he said. They don't have anything to do with it, and anyone who wants can just rip it off. The songwriting legend pleaded with the government to change course. We're the people, you're the government. You're supposed to protect us. That's your job. If you're putting through a bill, make sure you protect the creative thinkers, creative artists, and you're not going to have them. I understand that this story is taking place in the UK, but I do find that statement a little bit ironic. the you're the government, you're supposed to protect us. Forget who it was. Who was it that said, was it Reagan, or I don't know, the one that said it's like the most frightening words in the English language are, we're from the government, we're here to help. The government is never here to help. The government is never here to protect us. The government is here to become rich and powerful and pad their pockets and launder money and do all sorts of other shady things. Their last concern is to protect people. I don't know quite so much about how it all goes on in the UK, but I know that it's not been good lately. That's for damn sure. It's not been good in the UK, but especially in America, it's like the government's job isn't to protect us. They don't care about us. Like, what? Like, can we get Pippin of the Empire instead of Roman? That's, yeah. Can we get Pippin up here, just like, stomping away on the keyboard, or at least pictures of him, something, You're not going to have them. Okay. Meanwhile, Elton John backed him up in a new interview with the Sunday Times. The veteran performer said the wheels are in motion to allow AI companies to ride roughshod over the traditional copyright laws that protect artists' livelihoods. This will allow global big tech companies to gain free and easy access to artists' work in order to train their artificial intelligence. I'm looking at you, Roman. I know, like, you're using AI to make your thumbnails for your YouTube channel. You're helping to train the machine, man. You're feeding the machine, man. You can't feed the machine, man. Train the artificial intelligence and create competing music. This will dilute and threaten young artists' earnings even further. The musician community rejects it wholeheartedly, and I concur. Elton pointed out that at present it's harder than ever to make a living out of music due to streaming and all sorts of other stuff, due to the minuscule amounts that the streaming companies pay to artists and the increased cost of touring and the cost of living crisis, and lest we forget, Brexit. So yeah, good times. How dare you be working at this hour? Oh boy. Well, that was all fun. What else did I have? I already talked about that. That was Matt Pinfield. Okay. Matt Pinfield tool AI. Well, guess we're not going to get to that one. Singer-songwriter Claudio Sanchez of Coheed and Cambria has launched his own line of guitars that debuted at said NAMM show in Anaheim this past weekend. But we're just about out of time, so we're probably not going to talk about that because I still need to call my insurance company about the whole car accident thing. I don't know if AAA is 24 hours or not, but if not, I probably need to call them before 5, and it's a little bit after 4. So, well, that's fine. When the machines come to get you, I'm not going to help you. I'm not going to. The Terminator's going to come get you, and you're not going to have anyone to save you. Yeah, you missed the whole story at the beginning of the stream. Wasn't my fault. But yeah. It was the guy in a work truck. Was mostly refusing to give me his info. So it's a long story now. We'll talk later. But it's been super fun. It's been super duper fun. I talked to the owner of the company. He seems less than concerned that the guy attempted to hit and run and I chased him down. So I'm just going to go through my insurance and yeah, neither one of y'all are special. Did you not listen to the beginning of the show, Roman? No, he did not. No. Sorry, guys. It's like I said, it's been a day. But I'm gonna call it a day right here. Roman, did you buy any more records between now and Monday? Since you're in the chat. Oh, I'm pretty sure AI would hurt me like that. Yeah. It's yeah, we send each other voice messages. It's a lot easier than trying to type. I'm getting like carpal tunnels or something in my thumbs. I don't like typing anymore. So if you guys want voice memos, I'll send you voice messages. But otherwise, yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna go ahead and call it a day, though. Thank you guys all so much for joining me. We had Lady Marine, Summon Outdoors, Roman of the Empire, Matt, that should not be, Jacob Ironside. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me. I don't have a gig stream this weekend, so you will see me. Skynet don't hurt me no more. Yeah, no gig stream this weekend, but I will be back on Monday for Late to the Party news. I think we're going to try and bring in Sammy Threepeat for Monday. I was trying to nail him down for the Alice in Chains stream on Monday, but he had other things going on, but said he could do the following Monday. And I thought, what the hell? Let's bring Sammy in on Monday. So Late to the Party news, we'll have the usual cast of weirdos and possibly Sammy. I don't know what we're talking about yet, but that's the next time. I know. Downvote. Unsubscribe. Write a letter. I'm honestly starting to wonder if I'm actually shadow banned, because Devin is saying he does not get the notifications, and I know Devin loves me. I know he's got that bell set to all because he loves me. I don't know. I've been suspecting for a while I'm shadow banned, so who knows? I say all the buzzwords you're not supposed to say because I just don't care. But anyways, you guys all enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Enjoy the rest of your week. See y'all on Monday for Late to the Party news. I'll see you.